Oh, hello everyone to the live stream. Didn't even realize that another person popped up. How you doing? So generally, the reason why I wanted to do this live stream so that um, it's kind of like a live interaction where you can ask questions about Unreal Engine or really anything, and perhaps I can even give you some demos. Um, Currently, what I'm working on, or at least this little bit here, is I'm trying to um, create some modules for an open world type of like a city. So there's some uh, intersection areas. These two things here are the uh, road planes that I made. So it enables you to kind of like build a modularized road. So there's those ones over here, and then these ones over here that also allow the same thing. It's using splines. Oops, not like that. So all you need to do is press on the little gizmo over here, and you can kind of extrude a cool road. I also noticed that there's actually a pretty big delay between what I'm saying and my interactions and what actually appears on the live stream. Um, Maybe I can reduce that delay. That'd be really nice. But I don't know. Hmm. Guess not. All right. A random level stream. That is actually possible to stream levels within Unreal Engine. Let's see. I haven't actually played with that before, but I know that. Let me see if it appears here. Perhaps in the blueprint map. Yeah. Okay. So over here, in the um, in the level blueprints over here, there are some options for you to actually do level streaming. So I was doing over here, and there's unload level streaming, load level streaming. You can get the current level, um, and this is, or at least the benefits for doing that is like if you have, let's say, instead of having this huge open world where you can kind of maneuver around in one go, um, instead you can break up the map into, let's say, quadrants, maybe every one of these red ones. And once you get to a certain area where you can see it, then you can just kind of jump into this next zone and allow it to load. Um, and I think one of the best things that I've seen with level streaming is something like in uh, Jack 2, like in the Jack and Daxter series. Um, so like with Jack 2, one of the cool things is when you go from just that free wandering area in the city and going into that kind of in between room where you still have full control of your player, but it looks like it's in between two blast doors before you go to the next zone. It's actually loading in the other level through streaming, so that you can do that. So you can kind of set something similar up in your game using level streaming. Um, don't really know too much about it, so I'm sorry I couldn't really give you much more. Oh yeah, here's something that's fun. Um, I made these little cars. These cars are kind of dumb because they just accelerate and that's it. But I have some cars. I have some humans. And I was able to get collisions between the cars and the people down pretty well to where, uh, well, you'll see. This happens. Oh, wow. That's not what I expected. Okay, let's try this again. That's not good. Okay, I guess that's a little bit better until the very end. But, anyways. I was able to get collisions somewhat right, except for that last jerk at the very end. Um, and yeah, so the way that I did that was I created a collision box around the car. So the car has uh, its own collision on it, and the box just in front of it actually triggers the this like ragdoll to activate before the car hits it. So the ragdoll activates, then the car hits it, which gives that kind of nice little. Um, it looks, I guess, kind of realistic for a car's impact, but that kind of enables you to actually go ahead and cause collision before the car hits. Otherwise, things would look really bad. It would literally jerk way high up in the air. Actually, when I turned this thing off, the character literally flew up into the air. It was pretty funny. But this did work last time. I'm not really sure why it didn't this time. Yeah, kind of like that run. That run was a lot better. An asset cloning itself upon key press. Um, well, actually, it depends on what type of cloning you want to do. So, if you just want to spawn an extra character or like an extra instance of itself upon key press, then that's as simple as literally spawning the class. And this one I can definitely show you. So um, I'm going to bring the first person character, so the character that you control, into effect here. Um, okay, so in the first person character, I'm going to say when you press the E key, okay, how about R? Okay, so when you press R, it's going to spawn, let's say, uh, a crowd, like one of those actors in front of him. Um, so I can just say, in the viewport, we'll just create a basic scene actor, and the scene actor will be in front of him. This one, it's kind of like a little shortcut here to demonstrate the point, but we'll drag this in here, go actor location, or get location. Sometimes you have to kind of look for these functions because they don't readily show you. Hmm. Is there no get location for this? Okay, get world location. There. Alright, so get world location, and then we're just going to say spawn class from actor. Put that in the pressed event. The get location will go into the transform, because we're not going to worry about rotation. The class itself, in this case, is going to be our crowd actor, so our crowd char. and everything else can remain okay. So now in the world, whenever you press R, one of these guys spawn. Collisions look like it's a bit off. But that is in essence how you would clone another character. Now, if you wanted to, let's say you wanted to create a type of game where you clone your character and the character mimics all of the actions that you currently have, then you would have to expand upon your controller. So, the controller, well, there's the character, which is really the what you see. In Unreal Engine 3, it was called the pawn, and the controller controls the pawn. It's kind of like the mind controlling the body. So the in this case, if you wanted to have your pawn mirror everything that, let's say, you were doing, then you would uh, simply like tell that particular item, which inside, let's see, if I go to like the models over here and go to the whole thing, you can you can possess your particular character with what you want to do, or you can simply select with the AI controller class over here the one that you want. So if you want to do possessing, like how this is, then I would take the variable coming out of the return and say because this is the actor. Well, okay, so I could cast to crowd jar, and then I could possess, say, get controller, possess, and then the end pawn would be this. So I'm getting the specific controller for whatever it is that I want to control, or that I want to possess, and possess the new thing. That's basically how you do it. I hope that answered your question. So I have a question for you. How well are you new to Unreal Engine 4? How long have you been messing with it, or are you developing a game? Okay. Um, okay. Cool. Yeah. So I did have a couple things. Um, so this one is kind of like a little experimental um, map that I've been doing by trying to get things accurately portraying, like for example, this open world thing I was talking about. Um, So these lights, they're like, it's like a full traffic light system on this thing here with well, the green and red lights. And you can kind of see it change eventually. There we go. And oh, nice. Yeah, multiplayer. I've been experimenting just a little bit with multiplayer stuff. But what's VA Rest? I've never heard of that one. Excuse me. Oh yeah, also, at least with this map, there's the whole day and night system, which I have it running kind of fast, really just to test the functionality and try to get the timings right between when it cycles to day and when it cycles to night and how the entire things will look. One of the other things I did was I put some street lights in here, and these street lights get auto-activated when it becomes day and night. So, for example, if you wanted to do something like this, to sequel. Okay, so definitely for something a little more than just a multiplayer. Are you looking more for like an open world type of system? Because if you're sending something for like, or something to like MySQL and PHP, then I don't know, that seems a bit heavy if instead of just like a regular multiplayer system. Oh, and hello, third person, for coming to the live stream. I'm just sharing with you some things. If you have any questions, please feel free to post in the comments. Um, and I'll see if I can answer any of your questions. I was just showing off some of the things that that I've done. Cool. Very cool. Okay. Yeah, that's very cool. Wait. Huh. Well, that's very good. What type of multi or open world type game? Is it like, I guess, modern, in the past, futuristic? Like, yeah. I mean, it sounds like, especially with you using like MySQL and PHP, you have kind of more of the server stuff down. So that's really cool. Alright, let's see what else I can show. So, one of the really cool things about Unreal is the construction script, which doesn't really get a lot of things like talked about, but the construction script can help a lot with building a level. In fact, when I was building this little road piece here, it is pretty much all using the construction script. The only things that is using the event is like, for example, the traffic lights, getting those working properly, and I guess the collisions and stuff from the character in that car over there. But also uh, things like when it becomes nightfall. Um, yeah, that's also using event, but everything else is using construction script. Very cool. Very cool. So let's see. I want to show off the construction script a little bit. So, for those that are new to Unreal, the construction script, what it does is it allows, um, it basically allows you to create complex things to be added into the level. So this right here is an intersection. The intersection has the traffic lights connected to it. So everything that's inside of the script is this right here. So you have kind of a general intersection with the mesh or with the textures and whatnot. And then you have actors, which are called actor components, that are connected to this intersection. So I have these traffic lights. In the event script, this is where I have some of the traffic light information. As you can see here, it's like switching between the traffic lights. And really, it's getting um, the the right ones to fire. So, for example, when like with the road, you want these lights to be green, but not these lights to be green. So what that initial event for this one does is make sure that if these ones are green, these ones are red, and same thing with with these. So this one is green as well as this one is going to be green, and then it switches to the other ones being red, and so on and so forth. Now, because those are actors in that are within here, these child actor components, I have another one called Streetlight. So I have the streetlight stand, which, if you look over here, is just the streetlights with the three lights in it. Nothing so much in the construction script because, well, it's not really necessary. But in the event, I have it parented to or I have it using an inheritance system so that I can enable a bunch of different types of lights. So the one to look at is, I believe it's in here. Yeah, traffic light base, which actually holds the code for triggering the lights and getting that sequence down between like red light and green light and so on and so forth. So basically, it's just the timing for the lights. So because this is parented, or because this is the parent, and the ones like traffic light hang and traffic light stand are considered the child to that, they automatically inherit all of the code that the parent class has. That's called inheritance. And because of that, that enables me to kind of put whatever I want. Now, these ones here is also due to the construction script alone also. So this one is these are road splines. So I can, it enables me to really just make kind of like a procedural roads without actually having to lay down full roads. So I can kind of extrude them how much I want. Now, what's cool by go like this. Um, is if I create a new instance, say over here, um, and for this part over here, if I want a road spline to be dragged out, notice how it automatically creates new spline meshes the longer I drag it out, and it keeps everything nice and proportional. So I'll show you a little bit of that code. So with the road splines, this is the extremely messy code for the roads or for the splines. In essence, um, well, in essence, this is what it looks like. You have a road piece and then you have a sidewalk piece that are just kind of side by side to each other. The road piece, oh, this is the event graph. It's really just printing stuff to console, so it's not necessary. The construction script is really where all the action is. So what it does is it looks at the number of points in the spline that there is, and it basically just says that once the spline hits a certain length, divide it among um, divide it among a certain amount. So, like for example, if the spline is like 10, and we want one of these meshes, one of these like road meshes, which is right here. Add spline mesh component. See this road piece? So let's say this is 10 units long, and the spline is 100 units long. We want 10 of these meshes to appear. However, if this thing is like, let's say 95 units, then we just want 9 and to just stretch out the meshes a little bit. So I just have it dividing among the spline for calculating how many of these things are, or how many meshes it should lay down. And that's how I got this part here. And I also said replicate the same thing with the sidewalk component, so that no matter how long you decide to stretch it, it always remains in proportion to each other. Now, one of the cool things about the spline is the fact that you can rotate it. However, when you rotate these roads, they don't look that great. I'll show you a little example. Yeah, so you can already see a problem right there. But in essence, this is, if you rotate the roads one, there's some clipping involved here, which I suppose isn't that bad until you get to like right here, because they're technically not connected. Oh, hold on. Oh, so one of the nice things about Unreal, Limage, is that Unreal, like once you essentially lay down that, so basically the construction script just allows you to build things fast. Um, so the spline mesh automatically creates a whole bunch of meshes for you. So when you then go to ship it, um, it's all right there, and it's all like, um, well, it's ready to be shipped. You don't necessarily need to convert anything. That's it. Um, so the construction script is great for that reason. It just gives the level designer a ton of tools to go ahead and build all of the levels that it wants. Now, oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I could do a tutorial series about how to use spline meshes. That, yeah, if you guys want that, I can definitely do that, because I know I'm explaining it a little bit fast here, and there's quite a lot that's not really being covered in detail. Because, I mean, this is kind of a disaster to look at. um, But yeah, there's like a bunch of small facets um, for the spline thing. That's actually really cool. You can use splines for many different functions. So obviously, I'm using it for roads, and and the reason why I decided to do this instead of um, using like the landscape editor, which already has a built-in spline tool. And if you want, I can actually. I'm going to show you that right now. So okay. Um, uh, yeah. I mean, sure. Okay. So the landscape tool. Landscape tool, very cool thing in like especially for building the actual landscape. It's really great. But one of the cool parts is the spline editor, which if you control click on a certain area, you'll create this kind of spline component, and a control click on another one, you get this green line. This green line, if you leave or if you click on one of these control points, they call it a control point. Um, click on one of the control points, and you go to segments, then it'll allow you to look at the the individual splines. So if you click on landscape spline meshes, this is where you can define what you want. So let's say you want a line of buildings. This is probably not a good idea. Okay. So I have these like building meshes that are really terribly textured. Um, so if you want a spline of those, there you go. Otherwise, you can really put a spline of anything else. So I'll use a road piece, and that is basically a very large, the other one. And if you click on a spline point, then you can control clicking to different areas, um, and you can see how it kind of curves. So this was Unreal's kind of like um, first crack at the spline tool, which it works very, very well. In my opinion, way better than mine. However, the reason why I decided to go with my own versus the other one is because this spline tool does not or cannot connect to my uh, intersections, and that was actually a big request on the Unreal Engine forums, um, to get it so that if you have two intersecting landscape splines, for them to create some kind of intersection point. And unfortunately, Unreal is saying that this is a general tool because the spline tool can be used for anything. It's not necessarily a road editor. It's for splines. It's for like if I wanted to, I can change this um, into a spline of cubes or a spline of pipes. So really anything. Um, random rooms you. Hmm. I do intend on doing a streaming episode. Um, I just don't like. I need to definitely work more at that one because I don't know too much about level streaming. Um, I've never really had to use it, but it is if you want to optimize your game, if you have a lot of content in it, then that is kind of necessary. In fact, if I decide to, this map is kind of like an experimental map slash a overall like an open world type of game that I'm like looking at here. Um, and so I know that level streaming will be needed, especially once the world starts getting very populated. Um, Yeah, random. Yeah, procedural generation is very cool. Um, and actually, uh, as you guys probably know, I have a series on a procedurally generated building similar to Minecraft. Um, on this series where I show you how to make it using instant static meshes, and I also have something very cool here that I can show you guys. It's on a different map. It's a asteroid field that I made in um, that I made all procedural. So hold on a sec. That's space game. There it is. Oh yeah, forgive my background. I had to kind of lower the resolution of my monitor in order for the stream to work properly. So all of the icons got kind of messed up. Alright, so in this little instance here, I created kind of like an open space type of thing. Getting that skybox the way it is was kind of a pain, but yeah. So what I mean is this. In blueprints, ooh, let's see where I put it. I created an asteroid field blueprint. Um, yeah, I know what you mean. Oh, I guess in this one I can also show you how to use widgets too. Because widgets are pretty cool. Um, hold on, guys. Wow, I have not been in this project for a very long time. I cannot find any of my stuff. Okay. Time to just search it. Okay, asteroid cloud. There it is. So, this is asteroid cloud. Um, it's, yeah, it's an asteroid field with, for some reason, oh, never mind. The textures are loading. Um, but yeah, so I have this asteroid field, and the cool things about it, these are all done 3D widgets. Kind of. It's kind of like a fake 3D widget. Really, widgets are mostly 2D. You would just have to put them on a 3D type surface to get it to simulate 3D. So it's a little bit different. But this is basically Asteroid Cloud. Here, let me show you. It's pretty cool. Um, so, as you can see, you have some of the asteroid field that is moving, and others that are more stationary. The ones that are moving, um, they can collide in with another that, or well, with any, and when the collision happens, it creates them to burst, as you see here, creating smaller physics particles and whatnot. Um, and so this is all using instant static meshes, very similar to the procedural building design that I was doing, except it's randomly selecting between 4 or 5 different asteroid types. And so, and I guess the reason why I like it is because when you're flying around in it, it looks pretty freaking cool. So let me show you over here. Unfortunately, or So this right here is a little space game. Those are my widgets, by the way. So that 3D widget thing that you're talking about is that little... Oh, wow, collision. Oh, man. Okay, let me fix this real quick. I was experimenting with a better system. So let me just see if I can set the speed better. Hmm. Hold on, guys. Okay, I have a feeling that I really messed up with the flight controls. But, man. Okay, anyways, I'll just, stick to the ground, I guess. But, yeah, so this is all using kind of a procedural type of thing. The actual spawning of the instance static meshes are happening in the construction script. The rest of the simulation's happening in the event script, especially when you're like dealing with the collisions and that kind of gets simulated and breaks up and forms smaller particles and whatnot. And it looks really cool when you're flying through it. Unfortunately, my flight controls are all messed up. I'm sorry. Yeah, so this is kind of a cool thing that I wanted to show you guys. So, about them widgets. If I go over here and go inside my little cockpit again, we have target velocity widget, hull integrity widget, some ammo for when you, for when you click. Notice how it kind of uses up that ammo. Oh yeah, another feature that I made about these asteroids is that if you shoot the smaller ones, they can blow up. I wish I could show you guys. Maybe if I sneak up on it. Yeah, so I have pressing shift for accelerating and pressing spacebar for decelerating. Okay, so here's, I guess, a smaller asteroid, but if I shoot it, hold on. Oh yeah, and some of these areas are already broken up, so you gotta first find an intact asteroid to then blow up. I haven't gotten collisions right for this thing because turns out when you're in a certain flying mode and you get hit by an asteroid or something, your thing will go completely out of control. What just happened? Hmm. Okay. Anyways, so how I built these widgets is if I go into the edit flying area, you can see over here, there is, well, first, the cockpit is its own static mesh. These ones here are actually just parts that were built just inside the editor. They're just cylinders and other things that I put at different planes and whatnot. These are the widgets. So right here is a little 3D compass using the blue, green, and red values for X, Y, and Z. Then I have the ammunition widget, which is over here. I called it ammo status. That's underneath this ammo widget over here. Now, widgets, I believe I talked about it in one video. Or it was actually at the end of my XP series, but I'll mention it again here. Oh, hold on. Yes. Yeah, that actually took me a little while to do. And basically what you want to do is, I feel like I cheated, actually, because I just created a little area. See this drop off static mesh component. It's just off to the side, and I basically just said that when you press a certain button to unpossess this and repossess your current character, or spawn your current character in this area and repossess it. So you can see over here in, I think it's this, yep, F. So have inside char to the first person character. Inside character is this kind of actor variable that when you first jump inside of it, it kind of stores the information of that character in there. So it's casting to the first person character because that's what it is. It then so then I possess the player controller to that first person character, and I get the world location to the actors, to that particular drop off little node on the side. So that's what this one is. Now for hopping into the plane, it also, so inside of the first person character, if you press E over here, now E, I was just trying to do like a general line trace from this little dot in the middle. So this one detects like the floor, this one is the mothership of some sorts. And then if it goes into something it can possess, when you press E, it then detects it. So the first person, or this first part here, is just a general line trace. The second part over here is the information for jumping inside the character. So over here, it's if you can cast to flying pawn, because for example, if I just hit the floor instead of it, it would just cast fail. So I don't necessarily have to write a full if statement for that. This kind of serves as its if statement. So if it can cast to flying pawn, then populate yourself as the inside character, which is inside of the flying pawn actor. Yeah, that's and then also trigger this E pressed, which is somewhere over here, where it just possesses. That's in the flying pawn. So that's how I did the possessing. So in other words, that reference that you're talking about is that variable that gets saved when you're inside of the other component. That's really all I did for that. Okay, so Yeah, no problem. For the ammo widget over here, um, really the widget is just a 2D plane that has properties associated with it, and these properties then can um uh the best way to explain it. Well, for example, this little ammunition thing here, you have the graph, and the graph just this is not set velocity, it's more like set ammo. Um, but it gets the event ticked. It casts to flying pawn because that flying pawn is the one that actually has that type of stuff. Um, and notice that I'm getting the player controller. I don't necessarily have to worry about changing this because it's just going to be a first person type game. Um, controlled pawn, which is if you're inside of the flying pawn. So it casts a flying pawn, which will return true. It gets ammo, which is its own variable, and we're just pushing that to text. And then you have in animation, we have, or ammunition, we have just the words for it, and then you have this little um, spaceshipy looking thing that's really just a default uh, little thing here. Um, and then you have the text, which shows up right here. The text is associated with getText. GetText is this, where it takes this variable ammo text and pushes it as the return node. And that's really all widgets are. It's just a nice little interface for you to like push things to certain areas. Um, and really, like the 3D widget, in a way, that would be considered a 3D widget because it's a 2D widget in 3D space. And so all of these, including this, is actually a widget. Um, and this one's just kind of hovering in space. All of these are. So you can do like a little menu that pops up from your arm. Using this, you can just say like when you press a certain button, first have your character animate to a certain direction, look at your hand, and oh look, a widget appears. So widgets are kind of cool. I definitely like how it gave my ship some pretty cool. I mean, it made my ship look pretty cool inside. Um, and give it enough time, I could probably create, instead of that little 3D static mesh that's kind of rotating and stuff, could probably do something even cooler with like a full radar. Yeah, so I wanted to show you this little space game asteroid field type of thing. That'd be cool. If you guys have any questions, feel free to post. Or if you guys want me to just show you something else, I'd be willing to just kind of make it on the spot, though there'll be a lot of failing. But I suppose you already know that that is part of the whole creation process. Oh my god. The flight controls are so off. I'm literally just smashing into rocks because I'm really flying at this angle for some reason. I think it's something with the rotation. It's off with my character over here. Um, hmm. So, Lemich, are you making any games with Unreal, or are you new to it, or?